Good morning, welcome back to Business AM. My name is Simba Elijah Charles Kiage. We are live on YouTube, Metropole TV KE, Facebook at Metropole TV Kenya, hashtag Business AM. Yes, all right. So we're at the tail end of the show, and I keep on saying every day that this is their favorite part of the show because they say what comes in last is the best, isn't it? So now for the next 16 minutes, Richie, is it 16? Okay. Is that we're going to talk issues pertinent to personal development and different things that are getting done in the economy. This morning, we're talking about education. On Business M, especially the last part, we keep on talking about members of the economy who found different ways to contribute to the Kenyan workforce. Talk about personal development, talk about personal branding, talk about personal education, talk about one-on-one lessons. Good. So now this morning, we're talking about Global Peace Foundation Africa. If you don't know about it, then this morning we're going to table a conversation about it. But on one side that really sticks to what we hear at Metropole TV Believe in Business and the workforce of Kenya. This morning, I'm joined by the Country Education Director for Global Peace Foundation, Ms. Kwamboka. We're going to talk exactly about how they're using education from an early stage to contribute to the Kenyan workforce. Now, if you do know, is that 7 million Kenyans are unemployed. And yesterday on Metropole Debrief here, we were talking about whether the government has done enough to solve employment cases in the country. Question is, they haven't, or have they? Welcome to Business AM.
Thank you so much for having me.
It's a privilege to have you here.
Thank you.
People here love already exactly how you look. And I've been telling them after this, you might be taking over.
Thank you for the compliment. I appreciate.
Anyway, let's get into education. Can you just first tell me how long your foundation has existed in Kenya and what they have been working through to this time?
Global Peace Foundation has been in existence in Kenya since 2010.
Yes.
That should be 9 years as we speak. Yeah, and we are having the foundation in different countries, but in Kenya we're really focusing on a transformed education system.
Yes.
Yes.
I like how you say it. Transformed education system.
Yes.
But right now, the government is also trying to push for a new education system in the country.
Yes.
So what is the background of this transforming education that you're coming from? Are we not doing enough, especially when we talk about our education system in the country?
Okay, so I'll give you a little bit of background about Global Peace Foundation and why we decided to focus on education. Mm-hmm. So in different countries, we're looking at what are some of the structural issues that affect peace. In Kenya, we realized we are having a very high number of youth who graduate from high school. After that, they transition to universities. Not all of them transition to universities. There are those who actually drop out because they don't make the cut to proceed to the university.
Yes.
And then after university, there are those students who do not even get the employment. So it means as a country, we have a very high number of youth who are not in the education system, who are not employed. So where are these youth? It means these youth are somewhere not doing anything at all. So it means when you have a very high number of youth who are not doing anything, then as a country you're at risk because they have so much energy, they're still young, they're looking for different sources of income. So that means they will look for anything and everything so that they can get food on the table. You'll find very high number of people, crime rates will increase. You'll find violent extremism, people will be radicalized, such like issues. So we say it as a foundation, if we want peace in the country, then let's have an education system that is able to transform the lives of these youth. An education system that is able to give these youth the skills that they are required. If they're not able to be employed, then it means they can create their own job opportunities by being entrepreneurs. So that is how we came up with a transformed education system.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, let's therefore get into it. And there's a very interesting fact. When I look at it, you're majorly targeting secondary school students.
Yes, yes.
What is the importance of targeting these secondary school students, and how do you start the integration process? Let's just get into the nitty-gritties.
Okay, so the reason why we are focusing on the secondary school students is we believe that is the time a student is deciding what is it that I want to do in my life.
Yes.
This is the time a student is looking at what career course do I want to pursue.
All right, welcome back to Business AM. We apologize for that short technical hitch. We have already fixed it. So the conversation continues. Remember, we are speaking with Ms. Kwamboka, the country director, that is education director for Global Peace Foundation. So we were at that point where we were talking about exactly why they target secondary school pupils or students, I would like to say, yes, into this project. So let's just get back into that and get the grounding. Why secondary school students?
The reason why we are focusing on secondary school students is
Yes.
because this is a very ripening time for them. This is the time the students get to decide what course do I want to pursue when I proceed to university, which subjects should I choose, which profession do I want to go into after school, what's next for me. So this is like a deciding time for a student. So we feel as a foundation when you come in and just try to open the minds of the students to think outside the box, to get to understand that you might graduate with a very good grade, but then the jobs are not there. So it means as a student you start preparing yourself in such scenarios. What happens to me if in case I graduate and there is no job for me?
Yes.
So does it mean that's the end of life? So once you start preparing students for that, then it means after high school, even after university, they don't have that shock. It means this is something they were prepared for because they were told at a very young age this might happen.
Yes.
So that is why we really decide let's focus on high school students for now. Yeah.
Let's have a go deeper into it. There is a school, there is a class, and we do know the education system they're on right now. It is the old 844 education system.
Yeah.
We do know that the new education system has even got to them.
Yeah.
How do we start from there? So there is a school A that has students in class,
Yes.
school-going students.
Yes.
So how do you start to get these students into your system?
Okay, so the process is very simple. The first thing we do is we approach the school principal because
Yes.
you have to realize for anything that you have to do in the school, it's the school leadership. It's the school leadership that decides. So we have to approach the school principal and sell the whole narrative to the school principal.
Yes.
We tell the principal there is this program we're doing in high schools that we feel your students will benefit so much if they go through this particular program. If the principal said, yeah, it looks like a good program, let's go ahead and do it. Then the next thing we do is we have a training session of the school principal together with the teachers and the non-teaching staff. So this means the whole education, the whole school understands this is important for the students. So you're not just saying we're going to do it only for the teachers, but the non-teaching staff also understand. They also play a role in nurturing the student.
Yes.
So after we do a training for the student, for the principals and the teachers, the next thing we do is we have to nominate 2 teachers who now will be able to spearhead the program in the school. Because as a foundation, we cannot be in the school throughout, but these teachers are with the students throughout. So we nominate 2 teachers who we normally say they volunteer. So these 2 teachers are the ones who now are able to continuously see the program through. So after that, what we do is now we launch the program in the school. So what the program is called Leadership and Entrepreneurship Hubs. In short, we call it LEAP Hubs. So a LEAP Hub is like an incubator space in a high school setup. You see, just like an iHub,
Yes.
but now in a high school setup that has computers inside, that it has internet connectivity inside, now where students are able to come in and innovate and nurture different entrepreneurial activities.
Yes.
So for this program to continue running in a school setup, it means you must have the support from the teacher and the support from the school principal. So that is why we started with the top leadership. The principal, after that we went to the teachers,
Yes.
and then now we're getting to the students. So we work with the students together with these 2 teachers who said we will be able to hold your hand as you go through this particular program. So what we do is we first have the first induction session. So this program normally lands in a school once a week because a school program, you know the way busy schedule
Yes,
is.
yes.
Monday they have I don't know what, Tuesday they have something else. So for us, we normally ask the school, which day in a week would you say we can set aside for us to have time with the students?
Yes.
So some schools will tell you Wednesday, some schools will tell you Thursday. So we normally select one day every week. We have a session with the students. Most of the time, it's normally after school hours because the other thing you also do not want to do is interfere with the normal school schedule of the school. So we normally do it from 4 to around 5 or 6 p.m. in the evening.
Yes.
Once a week, every week. Yes.
All right. Let's therefore talk about the entrepreneurship program, which seems to be something that even the government is really pushing for in the economy. We are talking about workforce, we're talking about contribution to the growth of the Kenyan economy, we're talking about small businesses being given the power to continue operating within the economy.
Yes.
What entrepreneurship programs are we exposing these young minds to in school, and how do you go through the selection process of knowing student A is really good at this, student B will be really good at this, and how far does it go? Yes.
Okay, so for the selection of the students, it's normally the teachers who do it, because remember, the teachers know the students more than we do, because they spend majority of their time with the students than we do.
Yes.
So it's the teacher who selects the students. The other thing that we do is also we sensitize the students so that they get to know about the program. Joining the program is on a voluntary basis and of interest. So we don't say submit an application, do all those kind of things. No, it's out of interest. You say, oh, this looks interesting, let me join it. But we have a limit number of people, because in a space you can't have so many people at the same time. So in a school you normally take around 25 to 50 students.
Yes.
Because the space is not so big. So we encourage 25 to around 50 students from Form 1 all the way to Form 4. We don't say we only want Form 4s, we don't say we only want Form 1s. So how it works is these students, once they come into the space, one thing they have to understand is they are going to be part of a solution. They have to look at the school environment and say, okay, we have a challenge of this. How can I be able to come up with a solution to be able to solve this particular problem in my school?
It actually starts with them solving some of the problems that they have in school.
In school.
And therefore approach it from an entrepreneur approach, isn't it?
Absolutely.
That's exactly what you're looking at, isn't it?
Yes.
So do they come up with the solutions themselves?
Yes, they have to come up with the solutions themselves. Because one thing we are telling the teachers, you cannot help them come up with a challenge and then tell them this is the solution. They have to figure it out themselves.
Yes.
Because the moment you start telling them this is the challenge, this is the solution, they won't be able to really stretch out and come up with a very good and viable solution, because they'll always come back to you and tell you, okay, fine, so what do you think we should do? What do you think? You know, those kind of things.
Yes.
But you know, if you are the one who understands this is the challenge and this is the solution, there is a certain way that you'll be able to approach it that is unique to you.
Yes.
Now, that is where the uniqueness of the innovation comes in.
Yes. And these teachers have to be part and parcel of the innovation process to guide them through on how viable this solution can be, isn't it?
Absolutely.
And sort of look at it from a business perspective.
Yes.
Should this go out or should this remain inside here? Then this is exactly the points in which you're bound to benefit from.
Absolutely.
All right. Therefore, open our eyes. What are some of the solutions that you've seen come up in among the students that are really eye-catching, that we can say, look, if these students at this young age can do this, if they're given the resources and the time and the focus, then this can be really good for them.
Yeah, that is normally the part that warms my heart every other time, because you look at these students, the solutions they're coming up with, and I'm like, oh my God. One of the things that we tell them is, the other thing is, we're not limiting them to challenges just within the school. Look at the school, the community, the country at large. We have so many challenges.
Yes.
What are some of the solutions you're coming up with? So I'll highlight one that I've seen has been taken up by almost all the secondary schools as we speak.
Yes.
The student was saying they have a challenge when you're going, when they're coming into the school and when they're going out. Reason being, you see, boarding schools has 1,000+ students.
Nice.
As a teacher, you can't monitor, okay, I have 1,000 students who have come in, and then maybe during the term that these students who normally go out, maybe because they're sick, because of suspension and all those kind of issues. And the parents at home need to be notified, your student has left school at this time, so you should expect your student at home maybe at this time.
Yes.
And then the parent, on the other hand, expects the teacher to respond once the student leaves home and goes to the school.
Yes.
She or he needs a notification to tell him or her, your student has arrived in school.
Nice.
So the student said, how about we come up with a biometric system where we're able to check in and say, I've come into school at this time, and then I've left school at this time. That is also a challenge, especially for day schools, because the student needs to come into the school in the morning, leave in the evening. And maybe as a parent, you're not so sure, okay, has my kid left school? Is he on the way?
Yes.
Where is my kid?
Yes.
So the student said, we're going to come up with a checkout system where I'm able to say, this is the time I've reported and this is the time I've left.
Yes.
But it will be for specific classes. So Form 1, this is yours. Form 2, this is yours. Form 3, this is yours. That was at Machako School.
Yes.
And I was there sometime this year, first term, and I actually saw the school implemented it.
Beautiful,
They're actually using it. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. So it means once you put your fingerprint, a text message is already sent to your parent. Your student has left school.
Now.
So as a parent, you say,
Yes.
okay, my student has left, so I'm
Yes.
expecting my student anytime from now. And then if your student leaves home and goes to school, maybe it's during opening day, and he checks in, you still get a notification as a parent saying your student has come to school. So it means even when your student, let's say your kid has left home at around 8, and from home to school it's around 1 hour, and he checks the school at around 6 p.m., then you will wonder, where has my student been? Because you left home at 8 a.m., yet I'm getting a text at around 6 p.m. So it means you can even call the teacher and say, no, my student left home early. I don't know why he's reporting late.
Yes.
So it was one of the security mechanisms that schools have actually taken it up.
Yes.
I've gone to some other secondary schools, I've seen they've actually implemented it. And this was an idea that was started in a LIPAB in one of the schools, because they said that is one of the challenges they are facing as a school.
Yes.
Having now, issues of not being able to account for all the students you have in your school.
Yes.
Yeah.
Interesting. I mean, from my seat, I do know that back then the students will only get just maybe a single time in school where they will do their innovations through the science competitions that used to happen in schools. That's the only time that you would see that beautiful minds here. But what you're trying to do is sort of implement it in the school and let it stick there. They have this time to go in and try their innovations and ideas.
Yes.
Good. Therefore, the question that remains, therefore, is that yes, this is beautiful. But then you have these potential students who you see, given resources and time, this student is going to come up with something really huge.
Yeah.
How do you help them transition, therefore, after school with this idea and grow it into something better than they can now take into the community?
Okay, so first I'll admit it has been a challenge because number one, these are minors. They're not above 18 years.
Nice.
So it means even opening a company can't happen because they're minors. So that has been a very huge challenge, and there is no way an investor will put in money into such an idea.
Yes.
So for us, it has been a challenge. It means these students have to work on the idea, fine-tune it the entire 4 years. And then the other thing we do is give them as much exposure as we can. One of the things we do is we organize boot camps, we organize hackathons where they're able to pitch, fine-tune. So by the time they're finishing high school, they have an upper hand compared to these other people who will now be starting to come up with some different ideas.
Yes.
So what we do is we normally time them after high school, the moment they turn 18. So for students who graduate, let's say between 16 and 17, because that is the time most of them finish high school, we take them to the Chandaria Innovation Center at the Kenyatta University, because Manu Chandaria is our patron. Yes, so they go into the incubation center, still work on their idea. And then the other thing you have to remember is when these students were in school, we were engaging them with different business mentors. So after high school, it means they get to spend more time with these business mentors.
Yes.
They're able to now fine-tune it. And then the other challenge is when a student is thinking of an idea, there is this box that they are in because you're in a high school setup. So it means whatever idea you are working on might only work in a high school setup.
Yes.
But then after you finish high school, you realize the market is completely different. This is not high school. This is the actual market. So it means as a person, you have to look at your idea and see, what is it that I need to refine?
Yes.
What is it that I need to change? You will realize you have to do so much changes before you actually launch it into the actual market.
Yes.
So during that time, after high school, they go into the Chandaria Incubation Center. They refine their idea to actually suit the market.
Or even change it if possible.
Or even change it if it's possible, correct.
Yes.
Because you might find this was a solution for the community, not in a high school setup. And when you're in high school, there are some things you can't really be exposed to because you're still in high school, because you're still a student.
Yes.
But then after you finish, now you get to engage with the actual market. You get to understand, okay, so this actually can't work. I need to refine it. You do your own market research. You get to understand this is the market forces. These are my competitors. This is actually what is happening in the real world.
Yes.
So it means they have to adjust the whole business model, even if it means redoing the whole idea. And then all that process happens in the Chandaria Incubation Center. And then after that, they will come back and say, now I am ready. Because they have to give us refined presentations on how they've done it, what are some of the changes they've made. Then during that time, we also get to share it with different partners that we have. And then after that is now when we get to connect them with different investors that we think will be interested in.
Yes.
It's not an easy task.
Not an easy task, I can tell.
easy.
All right, now the last thing that I want you to tell me this morning, how many schools are you in, and should somebody want to support you, how can they do that?
Thank you so much. So currently we are in 24 secondary schools which are public in 12 counties. We are looking to expand into more and more schools, and also in different counties. We are hoping that by 2020 or 2030, we'll be able to reach all the 47 counties in the country, so that at least our presence is felt in all the counties.
Yes.
So to support us, kindly go to www.globalpeacefoundationkenya.org. There is a donate button. You can click and then support us with whatever it is that you want. We also encourage mentors. We also encourage different people who are in the business area, just to give us some of the content and some of the things they feel will be of help to these high school students.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you
It's been
so
a
much for
pleasure.
having me.
I
Thank you.
hope I shall be part of the supporting group, because I believe that I'm one of those people who believe that if you want to change the narrative about employment and entrepreneurship in the country, you have to start early. You have to expose the youth and the young minds in this country to these ideas and open their eyes to the possibilities that come through innovation. Good. This morning, we've spoken about the economy. We've spoken about business. We've spoken about anything that is trending in the economy. Now you know